Jack Pollock, former Taconic Hills Central School District employee.
Well, if you don't remember Jack, he was done many jobs for Taconic Hills, and some of my fondest memories are on late Friday nights. He'd be delivering 400 pages of the board agenda and all the documentation around the houses. Ron, you remember those? Evenings where you never knew this guy's banging on your door Friday night, sometimes after 10 o'clock, getting you all the documentation. So, he did a lot of different jobs, from bus driver to courier, and he was always at the sports events cheering folks on, and always was a great ambassador for Taconic Hills.
Literally a jack of all trades.
Thank you. Now we'll just do the Pledge of Allegiance. The Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Anybody for public forum, Neil?
Yes.
Be careful. Thanks. Okay, we have Heirloom Madonia.
Hi, I'm looking at your agenda and was really pleased to see that a goal set for the district is improved communications and fostering trust and involvement, outreach, and dialogue with stakeholders. I'd like to remind the board that stakeholders are not just parents of children who attend school, but are also residents of the Taconic Hills School District. With that in mind, I'd like to see sometimes the minutes of previous meetings posted sooner. Posting July's minutes in October seems a little late. The other aspect of it is I go back to my comment from last meeting of the 384 voters whose ballots were never opened. And I now wonder how many of the ballots that were opened, how many were set aside for whatever reason. And we have yet, or to my knowledge, the district has yet to notify or publish even a list of those people who have been, in essence, disenfranchised, perhaps because of their own things that they didn't do, but that need to know what they need to do differently next time if they're willing to take the time to exercise their right to vote. And I ask the board to really consider this, especially if your goal is improved communication. Thank you.
Thank you, Erin. Next up, Kevin Reese.
Yeah, I was pleased to come in and see that on the board when we came in with the masks and the hand sanitizer and the gloves, because that's really what your faculty and staff are doing every single day. I just want to commend them for their hard work under such difficult conditions. They're working like ultimate professionals, and I just wanted to make sure that the board recognized that. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. That's really good to hear, Jim. Okay. Next up, Nadine Gazzola.
Can you hear me over here?
I can.
Okay. So I know at the last meeting it was brought up about a concern about Latinx teachers that we have here on staff. And I think the school has done a good job about hiring staff that care about the kids and can do their job. That's what it should be about. It should be about, can they do their job? Can they connect with their kids? One of the school's goals is making that teacher-student connection. That's what it's about. They need to make that connection. I went to school at St. Rose for teaching. I went to Arbor Hill. I did not fit in at all, but I made the connection with those kids. I went every week, and they liked me going there because you build that bond with them. This year, my littlest one was the first year, she's in 5th grade. First year, I did not have to throw her on the bus and close the door quickly. She was crying. Beginning of the school year is always very hard. They hate going back. This year, she absolutely knew her teacher beforehand, loved going, was excited to go, and I haven't heard anything about I want to go to school yet. So that's ecstatic for me. And I know tonight the board's voting on the discrimination policy. I mean, that kind of falls into this whole thing. We should be looking at who can fill the position the best, who's going to make that connection and do their job the best. And ethnicity should not play any cards into who can do their job. That's just what I said. Thank you.
Thanks, Nadine. And that ends our public comment. All right. So I need a motion for the acceptance of the agenda. Can I have a motion, please? Joe, second. Alicia? Any questions about the agenda? All in favor? Thank you. All right, now on to the acceptance of the consensus agenda. Can I have a motion, please? Alicia, second. Heidi? All right, just look over. It looks like it's pretty hefty tonight.
I have a question about one of the items on the
Okay.
agenda. The new appointment for the school psychologist, is that a permanent position? Is that for a year? What's the term of the position?
It's a probationary position, so it's a 4-year term.
And if the school hopefully will increase in population, but if it declines in population and there's no longer a need for the number of psychologists, we will be committed to the 4 years no matter what, or?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay, thank you.
Frank Joes, who's been the assistant athletic director here for how many years now? He's been here a long time. He's,
You know, I don't know how many times he's retired,
yeah.
multiple times, but he's been here at least over, I think it's in the neighborhood of 56 years,
Yeah.
maybe.
So we wish him well, Frank.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Any other questions on any of this? So the only club that's not, we have a few that are vacant. SAD advisor.
Well, some of them we got together and we discussed which we think absolutely needs to run.
Okay.
And then we added a few more on, but there are some that we chose not to run.
Okay. Everybody good with appointments and everything there? Okay. All in favor? Okay, thank you. Okay. So now we have a presentation, our independent auditors report. Patricia Brennan.
Unfortunately, she hasn't arrived yet, so maybe we can move to the next item.
Oh, okay, so just move down?
Please, thank you.
Okay, yep. All right, so we have the capital project update, Nick Smith and Matt Schools.
So I just wanted to give you an update on where we are with the capital project, what's been done up to this point, and where we have to go from here. So just to kind of refresh everybody's memory about some of the items that we started, because we did start this last summer. We did the VEA walkway at the south end of the campus, and this allows us to get people from the building all the way down to the softball fields without having to go through the parking areas. So that was an VEA requirement that we were able to update. This is not working.
I might be interfering with it.
Okay.
So
This is the softball fields, right?
That's at the softball field end of the,
Okay.
of the campus. Yep.
is it working there?
Is not.
Okay, so you want to go to the
Yeah,
next
sure.
slide?
If if you go to the next slide. I'm gonna go through this pretty quick. Okay, so that's everything. Have a good night.
Nick, what type of surface is that? That's not the rubber, is it?
That's not blacktop asphalt.
It's just regular
Yeah.
stuff.
The arrow keys aren't responding.
We have the presentation somewhere else.
No.
Where is it? We have the PowerPoint up here.
Yeah, the PowerPoint there, yeah. So if you did slideshow from the beginning, which I saw you do, then I should be able to just click through it. This is lighting up, so it maybe froze up or something like that.
It's on a different chart on the computer than what's on the screen. That's why she's asking maybe it's down there.
Maybe extending the desktop.
And you went to dual display.
So, it looks like the problem is up in food.
No, because everything's down here. You went to dual display is what happened.
I've got the agenda up now on my screen. It typically appears that.
Here we go. It's responding again. All right, so
So I don't, what is the agenda up, guys?
all right, we'll just keep on cranking through it then. All right, so this is the other end of that walkway. So that was something that was required by an ADA for ADA for us to do. So we got that done as part of this project.
Hey, you know what? Wait a second. Let me. Hold on.
Go to your desktop, right-click, display settings, and say, not duplicate, it says something else.
They do not extend?
No, not, yeah, extend, please, yes.
Yeah, they don't extend.
It's possible it's over on the other screen.
There you go.
It looks promising. All right. How's that? We did, I don't know what I did. Oops.
No,
Are you doing that?
I'm doing that. No, everything's seems like we're back on.
Okay.
So another thing that we did in the interest of safety is we moved the road that went over to the ground shed. It did go between the tennis courts and the track area where students would be, and that was moved to the back side of the tennis courts, so that road's been put in to improve safety for the students. We upgraded the surfacing at the playground area. Also, the bus garage, that parking lot was in really rough shape, and that was taken care of last summer. Tennis courts, everybody knows about, one of our bigger projects. Upgraded the propane tank for our hot water heaters. Baseball field renovations, added drainage. The varsity baseball field always had a lot of pooling on it, so added drainage to that field and redid it. This is a new pump system for our domestic water system. We were having some issues as far as not having any redundancy. So this has 3 pumps connected to it, so if one pump goes down, we still have 2 more pumps that will serve the building. So it definitely puts us in a better position. The chillers were upgraded, and this allows us to air condition the whole school. There was pumps that were upgraded as well. Greenhouse addition. This is when the framing was put up, and this is the completed greenhouse. Boilers at the bus garage were upgraded. We addressed a lot of leaks that you've seen throughout the building over the course of the years. If you walk through the hallways, we had barrels and things like that catching leaks. The culprit was the gaskets on these fittings. We addressed all of these, and as of right now, we're relatively leak-free. Everything that we installed new was welded pipe, so this is a section of welded chilled water pipe that was installed in the elementary school, and that definitely won't leak, and if it does, we're in a lot of trouble. Upgraded the HVAC systems. It's hard to see right here, but this is one of the new thermostats in the classrooms. It has a lot of neat features. It gives us a nice setback so we can reduce the temperatures in the classrooms in the evening. It gives the teachers a little bit more control for comfort, plus or minus 3 degrees on either side of the set point we put in there. And it also allows us to add occupancy sensors. So while we might have the unit on a schedule to come on, say, at 7 o'clock in the morning and go off at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, if for some reason that room isn't occupied during the day, it will put it into a economy mode and throttle things back so that we're not wasting energy. We upgraded the flooring and replaced it with VCT in the hallways. And we also did a moisture mitigation system underneath that. A lot of the problems that we saw with our hallways were due to moisture coming from the slab underneath. So any new flooring that went down had moisture mitigation added below. This is the terrazzo in its rough form. This is actually after it was just troweled down. Then they went through and did a grinding process that was multiple steps, which gets you to a smooth finish, and that's the terrazzo after we put a few coats of finish on it. So that's what that looks like. And of course the TH emblem at the front of the building, which came out very nice. Beautiful. Nice. So those are the things that we've done up to this point. We've accomplished a lot since last year. And what we did was we held back on some of the alternates because we weren't sure what type of financial situation we would be in, especially with the way that construction projects were going. Things seem to be coming back high with bids. So one of the big things that we didn't do is add a condensing boiler for the shoulder seasons. So shoulder seasons are spring and fall, and what we're looking to do is be able to heat the building without running our large boiler plant. So we didn't do that yet. We would like to do that by awarding an alternate via change order, which you have in your agenda for this evening, to the tune of $179,000 for our mechanical contractor. The total cost of the work is $214,587, and the remainder of that is for electrical contractor, GC work for roof penetrations and things like that, so those are the smaller amounts. So that's basically where we started, what we have done, and what we have left to do. You also note that we do have some terrazzo flooring work to finish up in the area right outside of the pack here, as well as over at the elementary atrium, and those are scheduled to be done over the course of this year into next summer to finish it up. Any questions?
As far as the COVID compliance with the air, was there any changes in any filters or anything for the air circulation system?
Sure, we didn't do anything with our air handler system. We did put new unit ventilators in all of the classrooms. So those new unit ventilators have the highest MERV rated filter that we can run in those, so that those are upgraded. And then we upgraded the filters in our existing equipment as well.
Which brings them up to what, MERV 13 or something?
MERV 13, yep.
13?
Right, yes. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. Is Patricia here yet?
She's not here yet.
Okay. So now we're on to reports. Superintendent, Dr. Moore.
Okay, I'm playing with this still. Okay, you may have noticed that we have 2 positives on our school dashboard for COVID-19. This is a very interesting situation because these were reported from a laboratory. The laboratory apparently decided that these children which don't go to our school district belonged in our school district for some reason. So they're actually residents inside the Hudson City School District, and they are at the Brookwood Secure Facility. So obviously we have no control over that, so I'm in a very spirited discussion with the Department of Health and the Governor's Office as to why this occurred, and I'm recommending that they have their own dashboard to keep track of their own kids and the positive cases. So we are having a problem getting substitutes. We had to cover a lot of classes, and we're going to talk about that a little bit and other items to discuss. We also would like to recognize all the time that the school board members put in. So you've got your goodie bags in front of you, and those are masks made by Virginia De Palma, which is our family and consumer science teacher, and she's put a couple other things in there for you. So we'd like to recognize the board members for all the time that they put in for public education. I'd also like to say that on average, we have 5 kids coming back into the classrooms each week so far. And the only exception to that is the 12th graders, and we have 3 more that have opted for remote. But overall, we have 5 kids a week coming back, and we're finding space for them, and we've made it work so far. We are concerned about transportation for these kids, and also room in 4th grade and 7th grade, physical space for them, because we still are trying to keep the section numbers down. Thank you.
So Neil, the kids that are coming back, the ones that chose remote, they're responsible for getting their own transportation now back to school?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
We have to, some parents have opted to bring their kids in, even though they signed up for the bus.
Okay.
So Mr. Bebrock has gone through that list. We've made telephone calls, and if kids aren't riding buses for a certain period of time, we're putting other kids on those buses to take advantage of that. But the number of buses still hasn't increased, and the number of drivers has not increased. So those are limiting factors in what we're trying to do.
Thanks, Ms. De Palma, for the mask. Yes.
Per Erwin's comment about the voters, we had previously discussed putting something on the website as a general section about what the proper way to fill out the absentee ballots, or what were some of the issues, and I'm just wondering if you had a chance to address that yet. And if not, might be interesting to bring that to the board as part of the acceptance agenda, so that we could just put the wording in here. All agree
So
to it.
what we are planning to do is we are going to have another workshop, because this last election we had some issues that with some of the requirements, and so we're looking to have another workshop before we don't want to put something out there and then we change something and then we'll have to do it again. So, and I know that you wanted to have that other workshop, so those 2 workshops are definitely will be the next 2 that will be planned. So that's kind of where we're going to address that. But if we put something out there now and then we may change something.
Do we have dates for those 2 workshops?
No, I was going to put that as the additional items to discuss as well, so that we could plan those 2 dates, but those will be the next 2 workshops.
So the only thing that I can add is that we've had discussions with the attorneys about common mistakes people make.
Right. Which probably was the cause of many of the rejected ballots. We don't know because I haven't seen them. And, okay, so.
I'm curious about the ballots, because there was, and maybe someone could correct me if I'm wrong, but I recall that the directions on the ballot said to check off in the box to the left, or maybe it said to the right. And on the propositions, there was a box on the left or the right as the directions, but for the candidates, it was not in the same location. So how would that have been handled?
I don't know. Again,
That the ballot
My
itself was,
interpretation of that situation was that it made no difference.
So ballots were not rejected for
No.
that particular purpose.
so if someone circled the name because it wasn't clear,
no.
which side to
that
check
wouldn't have
off?
been rejected.
Oh, no, I thought you were talking about left and right.
no, I'm talking about specifically that the ballot directed people to check a box on one side or the other, I don't recall.
I remember this.
And that for all the propositions, it made sense, but for the candidates, it did not.
I do remember that.
So my question is, how were the ballots handled if somebody indicated a candidate in another manner other than checking off on what had been told, the left side, I think it was?
So again, this will be something that we could discuss at the workshop, because we could ask Melissa to come, because she was the district clerk at that time, and she could answer that question.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Bonnie,
Yeah.
was it absentee ballots or was
Thank you.
it mail-in voting? 'Cause
Mail-in voting.
it was mail-in voting, it was not absentee ballot.
Correct.
Okay. And chances are, we're not gonna do mail-in voting anyway.
Possibly, but
We don't know.
we don't know.
We don't know. I mean, there's a good chance that you're right, Joe.
I mean, we're all grown-ups here. I mean, if there's a box on the wrong side, you just put an X in it. You don't circle it, because I don't put an X in the box. I think that's
Are
right.
we ready? We're going with Patricia. Where is Patricia? Oh, hey, there she is. Hi, Patricia. How are you?
Good evening, good, thank you. Your name is secure.
Yes, I will. Can I just take your temperature quick? Good.
And here, on behalf of Victor Churchill and Senator
Could-
Churchill, to
could you-
present.
I'll get her a mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Patricia Brennan. I am here on behalf of Secretary Alan Churchill to present your 2020 financial statements. Just going to touch on a couple highlights quickly. The auditor's report is unmodified. That can be found on pages 1 through 3. And again, this year we have no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies noted in the report. Those closer? Yes. Good. Pages 62 and 63 are the pages that report on material weaknesses or significant deficiencies. There are none reported for fiscal year 2020. There are also non-compliance material to financial statements noted, and there were none noted. Your extra classroom report on page 64 and 65, that is also an unmodified opinion. And a couple other areas, just to highlight, your management and discussion analysis do appear as a first report in that financial statement. That is marked by Roman numerals, the page numbers. There's financial highlights, a financial analysis, and also a note regarding factors bearing on the district. There is a footnote on page 27 to 30 regarding future GASBs to be adopted. Those may impact future year financial statements and how they're presented. Specifically going forward, it will probably impact your trust and agency fund and how extra classroom is reported going into fiscal year 2021. Your stewardship footnote is in footnote 3 on pages 33 to 34. And it's regarding any budgetary overspending would be noted in that footnote. It was not noted. Collateral deposits are adequate. That can be noted in footnote on page 34. Currently, all outstanding debt, I think it is looked to be paid off at 2016-27, so in that fiscal year 2027, currently all debt would be paid off. It is currently at approximately $15 million total debt. That can be found on your page 37 in the footnotes. There is a capital project schedule that contains all either active or completed projects in fiscal year 2020 on page 58. I'm sorry, any questions?
I'm sorry, I don't see the footnotes you're referring to.
Which footnote in particular? Collateral, stewardship?
Well, any,
They
like,
just say notes, I think, Dave, they don't really say footnote, they just say.
Oh, I apologize, yes. So,
They just say notes.
yes, it's notes. We refer to them as footnotes, but it is a note. It'll say note 3.
oh, I see notes, like note 5. Like this would be a footnote. We'll talk about the gaps. What page was that again? 28.
Page 20. They are not traditional footnotes as in the academic literature world. They are footnotes in the accounting world. I apologize. And are there any questions regarding statements?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the GASB footnote itself probably spans a few pages itself, yes. Several of them have been extended the implementation date due to COVID-19.
Yeah.
So,
It's like very,
so how do we want questions handled?
So the report actually does not differ from the one that was circulated to the full board right after the audit committee meeting in September. You may recall Victor dialogued with the audit committee at great length that evening. We went through the financials, so it is the same report that you all saw about.
oh, okay.
No material changes.
All right, thank you. Okay. Anybody got any more questions for Patricia? Okay, thanks, Patricia.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Okay, now we're on to policy. Dave?
Well, it's real quick. Since the pause, we have not been regularly meeting as a committee, but we had a need not to redo, but to modify 2 policies. So the 2 policies that are on the agenda, you'll see that it's literally 2 minor modifications. On one, it was who the reporting parties are in terms of the compliance officers for non-discrimination. And in terms of the family medical leave, it was the addition of just that one sentence about the measuring period.
Okay.
It referred to, the Family Medical Leave Act referred to a year, but it didn't describe what the year was. So there was confusion as to whether it's a fiscal year, a calendar year, school year, and this describes that it's a rolling 12-month period. So from whatever the date, you look back 12 months.
Okay.
So really very simple.
So it's whatever the date of the employee, and you look back 12 months from when they're filing for that, or no?
I'm not sure what you're asking, Terry.
Can you explain what that means? the rolling 12-month period backwards, measured backwards.
Well, actually, I would ask Neil
From,
to how that is implemented in terms of evaluating when someone applies for FMLA.
So that's a good question, and I'm gonna have either Sybil and. Okay, Sybil, the idea where we have what? The rolling period, the 12-month rolling period. So what is the question now? How does that affect?
yeah, if someone applies for FMLA, and you're rolling back, it's measured rolling back 12 months from the date that they apply for the leave?
Correct, yes, correct.
Okay. Okay.
That makes sense? And so I also just wanted to note, and I thank John Dodds, who this, just on Monday, modified the account that I had for Zoom so that I can invite people for a meeting. So I anticipate shortly to be able to set up Zoom meetings with the policy committee so we can continue the work that we've been doing. In terms of our migrating from the PDFs on our website to the new online portal, we have about 50% of the policies migrated to the new portal.
That's good.
And so looking forward to doing a quick review of the remaining, just so that we can get them on the new portal where it's much more manageable. Right now, policies are in the groups by thousands and hard to find an individual one. On the portal, they're each individual and can be looked at separately. So that's our work for the near future. That's it.
Thanks, Steve. All right, so we have buildings and department reports. We have pre-K to 4 elementary, John Gusing.
Good evening, folks. In the spirit of keeping things brief, we are off and running, trying to maintain as much of normalcy as we can. School pictures, they are going to be on November 6th. We're also accommodating students on remote learning. We'll have an opportunity for them to come after school to get their school pictures as well. We're not going to do a live Halloween parade because of COVID. However, we will be doing a virtual parade. And we'll have some photos posted and hopefully put the music and something fun that the kids and their parents can look at. So with all the learning and everything going on, we're still trying to maintain a sense of holiday and culture and things that we can do to provide some fun and some excitement for the children. I will say this, backing up what Kevin said, we are doing a great job, I feel, overall, keeping people safe, making sure the kids cooperate with the rules, protocols, and they've been wonderful. You'd be very pleased if you saw how cooperative the little ones especially are in wearing masks, keeping distance and so forth. It is a challenge during the day, as you can imagine, keeping that social distance especially. They want to be with each other, and it's tiring. By the end of the day, our staff are very tired. So just, again, hats off to everyone making this work. I've been told by other principals that they just don't understand how we've been able to pull this off because they're wrestling with a hybrid approach and wish they had done what we did. So for those of you who thought, hey, maybe we're not doing the right thing, I'm telling you that what I'm hearing is other people are looking at us longingly and wishing that they had done this from out of the box like we did.
That's nice to hear, John.
Yeah.
Knock on wood, we've been lucky so far.
So far. Oh, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
With due respect to the other principals, it seems like you have the hardest job because you've got the youngest kids. So, older kids might be able to adapt better to online. And given the difficulty of the situation, have you been able to measure in some way the effectiveness of the education the kids are getting this year compared to a more normal year? I mean, I'm sure you're doing everything, and your staff is doing everything to do a great job, but are we able to measure how well it's going? And how are we measuring that?
So you can imagine that most of the information I have so far is just anecdotal from the teachers working with the remote students. However, we are administering and doing it this week, what's called the NWEA, or Measures of Academic Progress Assessments. And we're administering those to the remote children as well. So we will hopefully get some sort of a baseline on how they're doing at home, comparatively speaking to those in person. One caveat that I do have, and I'm not accusing anyone of any misdoing, but it would probably be very hard for a parent at home to resist the urge to assist a child taking an assessment on their computer and their laptop at home. So we just have to take into consideration the scores that we get from the remote learners and say, do those scores make sense?
What grade levels will the NWEA administer?
We do it K through, I believe, grade 10. Is that right, Jim?
Yes.
So mainly through 8 and then certain subjects in 9 and 10.
So how is the child who's a kindergartner at home going to be able to do this remotely?
So the assessment speaks to them. They're able to listen to the instructions. The questions are read to them, I believe, through grade 2.
So they're going to log into the school website or the testing website?
I will defer to Mr. Dodds, our master of technology behind us, for how that's done. But yes, they are on, it's an online testing assessment, and we give them instructions. We are able to control which test they select, and they take this assessment at home and here.
So it is adaptive?
Right, so the assessment itself increases in difficulty as the child is able to answer questions correctly. And it will do the opposite once they start answering incorrectly. So it levels out and determines a score that we can compare, and that is normed with all of the thousands of kids who take this test nationwide.
That may also give us an indication of whether mom or dad is helping the child.
It could. If we see some scores that are spiking in this first round, especially compared to what these kids did last year, we might wonder and scratch our head a little bit. Or we can say that our remote teachers are just doing an amazing job. We'll see what happens.
I had a question about the masks. How often are the kids getting breaks? How is that working?
It varies from class to class, but I can tell you that the kids definitely do not wear their masks when they have breakfast. They do not wear their masks when they have their snack, and they do not wear their masks when they have their lunch. They do get mask breaks on top of that in the elementary school. Teachers help determine that and make decisions. And typically what they do is they will have a row of students without the masks on. The next row will have their masks on, and then the row next to them might not have their masks on, so that there's 12 feet of distance between the two kids without or the lines of students without masks on. That's one procedure that I've recommended for teachers to consider, and I think most of them are trying to do that throughout the day. The real challenge is trying to work with small groups of children. So what we're doing, the rule of thumb is if we close the distance, masks are on. If we move around the classroom, masks are on. If we move in the hallways, masks are on. So there's certain rules that we've set up that everybody follows.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more questions? Thanks, John.
You're welcome.
Next up, we have the intermediate school, Mary D'Amico.
Good evening. In keeping with John's theme of just really trying to make things enjoyable for the students and celebrate the fact that we're here, we are doing a district-wide Spirit Week next week. So unlike years in the past, we're actually going to keep the same theme pre-K through 12. So I believe, to me, it's the most dreaded day. Monday is pajama day, and then we're gonna have, Titan Pride Day, and then we're going to go all the way to the end, which I believe Friday is going to be a Halloween day. So we are working on trying to make things enjoyable. The kids are doing a wonderful job of keeping the masks on. And I agree with what Kevin said about, the faculty doing a wonderful job. I think it's also important to thank the B&G staff and the cafeteria staff and the transportation folks, because, they keep this thing going. And we would not be able to be here today if they didn't do what they did. So we're still here, which we're grateful for.
Thanks, Mary. Anybody got questions for Mary? Thanks, Mary. Next up, we have senior high school, James Master. Hey, Jim.
I'm a big fan of school pride and unity, but I'm probably going to leave my pajamas home on Monday. Can't speak for John. I know he likes to join in on some of these things.
No PJ.
And I speak for the board in saying thank you.
I'm sure a lot of kids will thank me for that. First couple weeks of school is always what we call the honeymoon phase, where the behaviors are going well. You see lots of learning in the classroom, and then after a few weeks, things tend to turn. When I last reported to you a couple weeks into the year, we were in that honeymoon phase. We're into 6 full weeks of instruction right now, and it's continuing. It's beyond a phase right now. It's a real culture change for the kids. They're behaving well in the hallways. They're following the directives that teachers are giving. There's little slip-ups, but we're on top of it, and it's a full team effort to keep it going. You go in the classrooms, and you see kids learning, and you see teachers trying some different things. So, I can't report to you on results on how this is all going to work out, but just from seeing what's going on in the classrooms and the hallways, we're on a real good track, and we're really optimistic of the way the rest of the year is going to go. Thanks.
Thanks, and make a question.
Yeah, do you think that the fact that there's more structure is what's leading to the better behaviors?
Yeah, I think the structure of having to come in and follow those safety rules and everybody being on board and enforcing those really keeps people understanding the rules. I think another thing that helps us is the block scheduling. The fact that we only have 3 transitions during the day and we're not utilizing those lockers are keeping some of the behaviors out of the hallways. And in the classrooms, the teachers are working hard to make sure that they're keeping on top of all the safety rules and then working in some mask breaks too. So, if we continue with the block scheduling, it might not be a mask break in future years. Hopefully it won't be, but we can work in other breaks and find ways to make this work for the kids. So, the jury's out on what we do with block scheduling. We'll see how it affects the academics, but there's a lot of factors going to make this work right now.
And I think that kids are genuinely happy to be back. And I think there is a certain level of appreciation for school, because a lot of them missed it.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
With the block scheduling, when they do change rooms, is everybody changing at the same time, or the blocks are they alternating?
We went into it thinking that we were going to stagger our transitions, and they are somewhat staggered by when the teachers let kids out, because we're not using the bells quite yet. But we're not. We have so many teachers in the hallway, and they're doing such a good job of keeping people moving, that we're not having these congregations, and the kids are used to. All you need to do is, if you see 3 kids standing next to each other, you walk towards them, they already know. They're conditioned and trained. They move on. It's the hallways are not the way they used to be.
But also, Dave, we really made an effort in the scheduling to keep students in a pod and in a specific classroom for maybe not all day, but 2 blocks out of the day. So that's really half of their day. So they'll be there, and then they'll make a transition to another location. For example, if they have phys ed, they'll go down to the gym. So we don't have, because we really did try to link people like that, we do not have all of that traffic.
Right, so any particular transition time.
There will be
It's not every
transitions.
kid in the school
Exactly, it's
transition.
not every kid in the school at all.
Well, that's a benefit right there.
Yeah, definitely. And that's, and again, these are things that, you know, in the post-COVID world, we don't have to get rid of those. I mean,
No, we don't.
if we find good benefits in those, then we'll, you know, this is our testing ground. We'll try some of these things out and see how well they're gonna work going forward.
Are you reporting any of this data to the state, or is it still too soon to say
What data are you?
Well, just, you know, like that things are working well and we're seeing less confrontation, or the block scheduling is working. Is that being reported anywhere? Or-
It has not been asked for.
Oh, okay.
But year end, when we analyze discipline data and we have to report those, you know, and, you know, hopefully we'll be able to report some good numbers on that and see some positive changes.
How's attendance?
Attendance is spotty. You know, we're encouraging students when they're sick to not be here. You know, and normally you have a lot of kids running around sneezing and you know, wiping their noses off. Well, a lot of those kids are staying home, and that's affecting attendance. And we try and get them online when they're not able to come in like that. But it's attendance is going to be an ongoing issue that it's going to just take a lot of work every single day from all of us. You know?
And we're also having siblings, if a sibling is ill, then the other students that live in that household are also being sent home.
Right, I guess I'm kind of curious as to, in terms of the state reporting and attendance and driving aid, are they going to be modifying?
So that is the data that Neil is reporting on a regular basis.
Right.
If those students log on to do remote, are they marked absent or are they considered?
No, they're considered present. I mean, but it's not, it's, what we're trying to avoid is somebody saying, oh, I'm not going to school today, so I'm just gonna, you know, log on remotely. That's not how it works. But if you are excused because you've had a COVID test and now, you know, you're home, we absolutely want those students to do the remote learning, and they will be counted as here.
But even if you wake up in the morning and you're not feeling well, or you have cold symptoms and you don't send your student, can they log on remote and be considered present?
Well, they're not going to have the links for it. So they're going to, somebody's going to need to have a conversation with an adult in an office, because we really want to make sure, and it's not that simple. So, you know, in some of our classes, unfortunately, they're not exactly in the same place as the in-person. So no, it's not that seamless, but certainly they will get their work, and if they are going to be out for an extended period of time, then we are going to get them the remote option.
It is a little bit easier for them to do that in the high school, but we want to have contact with the parents to make sure that students aren't just staying home because they don't feel like coming in. You know, we want to contact the parents to make sure it's a legitimate reason as to why they're not coming in. So, you know, that's, again, it's something we have to keep on top of. We do have in the school tool system, they've modified things this year, and there's actually teachers take attendance on the school management system. Normally it was just whether they're present or not tardy, and they have some reasons for it. Now there's a flag that lists whether they're a remote student or not, and then there's also a checkbox as to whether or not they're learning remotely or in person. So if a student in that scenario, Alicia, is they're staying home because they're sick, they're not a remote student, the teacher would mark them present and check off the box listing it as remote, which allows us to know that and then to, you know, follow up on that as best we can.
Thanks, Jim. Anybody else? Okay. Sandra's not here tonight, so we're just skipping that report?
Yes.
Okay. Business office, Sybil?
Good evening. I just wanted to address Mrs. Madoni's comment about the July 7th minutes. Ashley has just come on board about a month ago as the district clerk. She's taking this role very seriously, attacking the job, but we were in transition with 3 staff members for a large part of the summer. So I assure you it was an anomaly, and you know, all of those minutes will be posted very promptly moving forward. You know, we've got a great team in place. I'm glad to be out of audit season. We're at the point now where grants are being approved, but one of the, I guess, red flags that has come up is that SED is not approving grants right now. So, you know, we have close to $1 million of staff in grants in this district. So we're making payroll, but we have not had any of those grants approved. And there is the discussion about those 20% holdbacks applying to grants. So I don't have any information about that yet, but again, we are very, very fortunate that we are in a financial position where, unlike other school districts who actually need their grants to make payroll, we are forward funding that payroll with general fund dollars until those grants come through. So I'll keep you posted about that. This is the time of year where we usually have a financial condition workshop once the audit is complete. So I'd like to talk with the superintendent and Mrs. Torsha about maybe getting that set up, talk a little bit about where we ended the year and some of the pandemic savings that we realized, and you know how we're going to move forward in the next budget process that will still exist in a COVID world.
How soon would you need that to happen, Sybil? Because I know we've got some other workshops on the...
Completely flexible.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Anybody got questions for Sybil? Okay, thanks. Next up, we have the CSE, Stella Ritter.
Hello, thanks everyone. I'm glad Mary and Jim and John and Kevin have discussed how hard all of the staff has worked. I call Rick almost on a daily basis to say there's a student that's on remote that's coming back, or there's an out-of-district placement that is now going remote, and or they're coming back, and we have to look at the bus runs and see what we're doing there. B&G has been phenomenal. Pam and her staff have been wonderful. But in addition to that, I thank you for looking at Megan Kreza and approving her position. Kevin and the social workers prepared over the summer for the students coming back in that social emotional learning piece that is also very, very critical. The scope of a school psychologist position has certainly changed over the years. I wish I could say that because our numbers may be smaller, that the scope of the job is smaller, and it isn't. So again, I thank you very much for supporting the staff and the students in my PPS office.
Can I just interrupt? I failed to mention technology, and I just wanted to thank the technology department.
Mary, you did forget technology.
Not do it without
I'm
them.
sorry.
That's what happens when you start thanking people.
You know why?
You're going to
Because
forget
John is
something.
so quiet.
He's so
That's
quiet.
why. He's so quiet. He's like Stella.
So thank you, technology.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stella. Next up, we have buildings and grounds. Do you have more, Nick?
I do not.
Okay, I didn't think you did. Okay, next up, transportation, Rick Weebrow.
Good evening. Just want to let you know our transportation plan is moving forward, very much like we described it to you in August. Our arrival and dismissal procedures are running very smoothly, including the parent pickup, which is, we have to thank all the administrators and all the people who are involved in that. Things are right now working almost like a Swiss watch. So I take that as a really good thing, and I'm very happy about that. We do have some challenges in transportation, like Dr. Howard was mentioning. You know, we started out with our plan based on X number of kids because we had called all parents and said, do you need a bus or don't you need a bus? So that's what we based our bus numbers on. So then we had some kids that went remote, which was good for the buses because we had a little extra room. Then we had a lot of kids at the end of August who came into our school, new to our school, which took up some of that space from the remote kids. And now we have some remote kids who are coming back. And I anticipate maybe some more coming back for the second quarter. We have some parents who have changed their mind about wanting to use the bus. So we're constantly making changes to seating charts on the buses, but that's just what we do. So the idea is to get everybody here to school who wants to get here and wants to use the bus. We have 30 buses right now in the system. I still have some room left on the buses. If we have to do some rerouting to get some of the less full buses over to where the kids are, we'll do that, but I just want you to be aware that we based it based on what parents have told us. So in the future, you may hear me sing a different tune.
So for the most part, the parents that committed to dropping off and picking up their students are living up to that commitment?
For the most part, yes.
And that there are some families that have opted to use the busing?
Yes.
And have decided they would rather drive themselves?
It appears that way, yes.
They give you notice about that, or they just stop coming to the bus stop?
Many children haven't been on the bus since September. So I don't know the actual reasons why.
Rick, I've never been rich enough to have a Swiss watch, but I just want to know that if, let's say, worst case scenario, everybody wants to come back to school, but they're just excited about being here, and we have every kid wants to ride on the bus, do we have enough buses?
If the kids come back whose parents said they needed a bus, yes, we'll figure it out. If everybody who told me they didn't need a bus changes their mind,
Right.
then we have another issue.
Okay. And that case, we have to get a lot more runs from Mike Johnson.
But I'll be honest with you, I don't think the people that told us that they didn't need a bus is a number that's much more different than what last year was.
So it's, meaning that's typical, they're the families that...
Fairly typical, yes.
That prefer to just drop the kids off and
Yeah.
take care of it themselves.
It's just this year we have them on paper.
And they're committed to it, theoretically.
Theoretically.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick. Next up, Ron's favorite, Cafeteria Pam. Oh, it's Joseph.
That's all right, go ahead.
Oh, I just skipped John too. I'm sorry, John. All right, John.
John seems really perturbed about that.
Yeah, I know.
All right, tonight's tasting is our commodity pork with Asian seasoning, jasmine rice, and sesame seeds and scallions on top. I gave you all chopsticks, but there are forks that Bonnie has for sale, and the money goes towards the Booster Club. So,
Donation to the Booster Club. I bought
I'm
one.
already
I bought
paid by
one.
the time, so I'm looking forward to the time.
I bought one.
no, just for you, just for you. Okay, just quickly, USDA has issued some waivers that allow us to, well, they give us more money for our reimbursable meals. So for breakfast, we're getting $2.37 for each meal, which is equals what we were getting before that. But lunch has increased to $4.15 per meal that is recorded. So that's really a benefit for us. We don't have the students don't have to put their numbers anymore. We get a count from the cooks of how many meals went out, how many came back, and then we claim the amount of meals that the students had eaten. And they've also relaxed some of the meal requirement regulations, so I don't have to have an orange or a vegetable 3 times a week. I can have it once a week, and I don't have to have a dark green vegetable 3 times a week. Just little things like that that we really have to stick to. It relaxed so we can get the students fed quicker and make sure everybody gets a meal. And that's where we're at.
So that's the reason that they switched it, is for that reason, so that things were a little more. Yeah, all right.
I know that things have not been normal at all for and last year was the first year we were going to universal free lunch. Right. So I don't know how you could possibly answer this, but do we have any sense of where we stand with funding based on that? Or did the fact that, you know, COVID make everything remote, all the lunches that were delivered?
Well, actually, the increase in the reimbursement rates is helpful to us.
Okay.
And we're allowed to operate under the summer food service program. That was able to continue until June of 2021, which results in our higher reimbursements that's coming in.
Are there any children whose families have expressed that they can't eat pork? Are there any families that have expressed that their kids can't eat pork, like a Muslim or a Jewish family? Or perhaps, like my daughter, when she was young, had an intolerance to animal protein, so not religiously based.
It's not just.
There are alternatives.
Yes, there's different sandwiches. In the high school, there's many choices. Elementary, they have yogurt sandwiches, and there is a note on certain students' accounts if they do have an allergy, something like that. And the person who's serving the meal does know that.
Thank you.
This is wicked good.
Ready already?
Can I get a quart? I'm just saying, I'm a big guy,
And you can have mine. Here, you can have mine. I already ate dinner before I came here.
How does it work with the remote kids? Do they get lunch?
Yes, we deliver twice a week. Tuesdays, we deliver 2 meals. Thursday, we deliver 3 meals. 3 breakfast, 3 lunch. Transportation, we prep it, transportation delivers it.
On the same buses with the pickups or?
No, it's done like at 9:30 in the morning.
Okay.
So 4 or 5 buses go out and deliver.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pam. Okay, John, your turn. Sorry.
I'll be short and sweet because the principals took so long. Just want to say thank you for making Mr. Hartman permanent, and I can't say things are slowing down yet, but we're still plugging through, getting things done.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Man of little words.
Very technical.
I love it.
Got a quick question.
Yes, sir.
At some point, I don't recall when, but I think you talked about that the district was looking to put in an additional service for internet, or expanding it.
Yes, it's part of the School Bonds Act is having GTEL connect us. That kind of got put off a little bit. They're very busy getting households set up.
Yep.
I'm not complaining yet, but I will soon.
Okay, so the bandwidth, I guess we're not using as much bandwidth as we had to in the spring because we don't have as many remote learners.
Well, we're using a lot of bandwidth. We're paying for 200 meg right now. That gives us a little bit of buffer, but not much. GTEL would give us more and give us the ability to, if Consolidated had an issue, hopefully they wouldn't, and then we'd be up with them. So we've had a couple, we did have a DDoS attack. NARIC was great in helping us. They have an appliance on their side to protect us. We did some tweaks. We did so many tweaks and made it so good that kids couldn't do their homework one night. So we had to back it off a little bit.
That's a new one, instead of the dog eating my homework. The internet wouldn't let me in. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Okay, we have no old business at this time, so going on to new business. So we have these 2 policies that Dave talked about earlier. So we're doing them as, instead of a first read and second read, we're doing them sort of just as is it a resolution? It's just, yeah. So, do I need to read all of this? Let's see. I'm going to just read so we're going to amending the equal opportunity and non-discrimination regulation definition. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Conecuh Central School District amend its equal opportunity and non-discrimination regulation to amend the following language immediately in the regulation, and there's the definition of that. We're just changing who the compliance officers are, and they are the grade level principals. And we're going to lump them both together, so then we're adopting the FMLA measuring period. Be it resolved that the Board of Education to Conecuh Central School District amend its FMLA regulation to add the following language immediately before the notice of policy section in the regulation. So it's that 12-month period that Dave was talking about as well earlier. So can I have a motion? Ron, second. Dave, any questions on those two?
So what is the 12-month period, rolling period? When does it start and end?
We've answered that, right? Sybil answered that.
It's when they put in for whatever medical condition they have from that point. The clock starts ticking.
Okay. All in favor? Okay, thank you. All right, next we got the approval of the shared transportation services agreement between Taconic Hill Central, Hudson City, and Germantown Central School Districts for the Questar 3 Heavy Equipment Program for the 2020-2021 school year. Can I have a motion? Linda, second. Joe? Any questions? All in favor? Okay. Next up, we have the approval of the amendment to the 2020-2021 school year calendar, adding November 3rd as the superintendent's conference day. Can I have a motion, please? Linda, second. Heidi? Any questions on that? All in favor?
Is there any voting going on in the school here? I remember there was a reason for this.
We are not a public election poll.
Yeah.
So there's nothing going on here at this time. But we were concerned about the Voters' Rights Act and how much time, and this seemed to be a good time to kind of evaluate how we're moving forward, and if we have an inkling that we're going to vote. So that's kind of where we are.
Okay, next up is the approval of financial statements presented by Sickler, Torsia, Allen, and Churchill on October 21st, 2020 as the final audited 2019-2020 financial statements for the district. Can I have a motion, please? Alicia, second. Ron, any questions? All in favor? Thank you. Next up, the authorization of the disposal of obsolete or surplus sets of volleyball standards padding and various elementary books. Can I have a motion, please? Heidi, second. Terry, any questions? All in favor? Okay. I'm going to do both of these together as well. So the agreement with the Taconic Hill Central School District Faculty Association, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Taconic Hill Central School District hereby appoints and employs Suzanne Wright to a term position as an elementary teacher for the maximum period September 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2021. This is a term appointment and is not a probationary appointment. In addition, Suzanne Wright is hereby granted a leave of absence from her position as a reading teacher for the same term. It is specifically acknowledged that Suzanne Wright has agreed to waive any rights she may have to probationary appointment in consideration for tenure, and such agreement is evidenced by a writing signed by both parties. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of Taconic Hill Central School District hereby appoints and employs Rosanna Bishop to term position as an elementary teacher for the maximum period September 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2021. This is a term appointment and is not a probationary appointment. In addition, Rosanna Bishop is hereby granted a leave of absence from her position as a reading teacher for the same term. It is specifically acknowledged that Rosanna Bishop has agreed to waive any rights she may have to probationary appointment in consideration for tenure, and such agreement is evidenced by a writing signed by both parties. Can I have a motion, please? Motion. Dave, second. Joe, any questions?
Are we getting a replacement reading teacher?
No, John made this decision in order to keep down the section numbers and the classes low. So we are not this time. We just reassigned these people.
All in favor? Thank you. G, approval of the following bid award of mechanical construction contract number 105. So we have the boiler replacement, and the total contract award is $3,714,000. Or $714,000, sorry. That's all right. All right, can I have a motion, please?
Are we voting on the total contract or just the boiler replacement?
Well, when you vote on the boiler, the total goes up.
The total goes up.
Correct.
Okay. All right, motion, can I have a motion? Somebody give me a motion? Ron, second?
Second.
Dave? Okay. Any questions?
I do just have a question.
Okay.
To clarify what Neil just said. So my understanding is we've already committed to and approved about $350,000 some odd dollars. That total $3,714,000 is what we approved plus what we're approving tonight.
I don't know where you got the 350,000 from.
Did I say 350? 3 million. Bonnie started.
Sorry.
So the boiler replacement, we've already done a fair amount, so about 3.5 million in change, I think, is that what you mean?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Excuse me.
So, yes, we're adding to that total of the contract by doing alternate number 5, which is the boiler replacement and its cost there. And then that's the new contract award to T. Lenny Mechanical.
Thank you.
Any more questions? All in favor? Okay, thank you. All right, so now we have the approval of our 2020 district goals. I'm not going to read them all, but you see them there. Can I have a motion, please? Ron, second. Heidi? Any questions? All in favor? Thank you. Okay, approval of the following donations. Okay, so.
Bonnie?
Yes.
I have a question. Just want to make this
Okay.
clear.
Mhm.
And Sybil did speak about this to the question that this was going to be brought up. I just wanted to acknowledge over the last few weeks, Ashley has really been working very hard, going back through minutes, or going back through agendas with the minutes to identify where they had erroneously been missed, or where they were in the agenda, but in the attachments where it wasn't seen. And I really wanted to just acknowledge her effort. She spent a significant amount of time. We spoke a number of times over the course of the last couple of weeks to work it out. And I'm confident going forward that things have been cleared up, and that all the transition that was happening with different personnel, has been addressed. So thank you.
Thanks, Ashley.
Can I just ask, so our sessions have been recorded, and those are available to the public to view, or?
Most of our sessions have been recorded.
Okay.
We've run into some technical issues, and what we have are posted on the website.
So if people can't view the minutes, they can at least view the,
Well, they should go together, but yes, you could look at one or the other.
Okay.
Or both.
That's a good point, Terry. Okay. So we have the approval of the following donations. We have books from Lynn, what's her name? I'm sorry. Cataletti. We have $771 from Hannaford for the elementary school yearbook. We have $804 from Hannaford for the junior-senior high school. That's not the yearbook, right? No, and then $12.25 from Esther. I know I'm going to kill this name. Gatkowski for the Takana Kills Cafe Fund for a total of $1587.25. Can I have a motion, please? Motion, Linda. Second. Ron. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yep.
we approve donations?
Yes, we have.
Okay.
People often try to donate things that we don't want.
Okay.
That overcomes.
Like,
Why
what do you
is
mean,
that
like
a-
youth stuff?
Why is that a board level decision? Why isn't that a superintendent decision?
It's in our policy.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay,
we
I'm
have
just
a
curious, because I know Hudson board doesn't approve donations, it's done at the department level. But, just curious.
Yeah, I know it's a policy, it's one of the policies I worked on when I first came on the board, and I was on the policy committee.
I would also just add, interject, that sometimes there are donations. I don't believe any of these might fall into that, but if there are equipment or materials that there could potentially be a liability.
Correct.
Once it's accepted by the school district, we take responsibility for it.
That's correct.
It's, my experience has been it's pretty common in typical school districts to do that, as well as acknowledging the generosity of the donations.
Do we do all in favor?
Not yet.
Okay. All in favor? Thank you. No reference. All right, next up, J, the resolution to fund retirement contribution reserve subfund. Whereas by resolution at its meeting of June 19, 2019, the Board of Education of Secana Hill Central School District created a retirement contribution reserve subfund to be used for the purpose of financing retirement contributions to the New York State Teachers Retirement System. And whereas the board desires to fund the retirement contribution reserve subfund in accordance with the law, it is hereby resolved that the Secana Hill School District Board of Education hereby authorizes the funding of the retirement contributions reserve subfund in the amount of $222,617. Such monies to be transferred from the district's available fund balance from the 2019-2020 school year to be used in accordance with applicable laws for the purpose of paying retirement contributions to the New York State Teachers Retirement System. Can I have a motion, please? Joe, second? Second? Terry? Any questions? All in favor? Thank you. Okay, approval of Darby D'Elia as the lead evaluator of teachers effective October 21st, 2020. Whereas the Board of Education has provided evidence that Darby D'Elia has completed training which meets the requirements of the New York State law there, and the Secana Hill Central School District Annual Professional Performance Review Plan for certification as a lead evaluator of teachers. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education recommends Darby D'Elia to be certified as lead evaluator of teachers. Could I have a motion, please? Heidi, second. Joe, any questions?
When it says we've been provided evidence, have we?
What?
It says the Board of Education has been provided evidence.
So in your packet, there should have been something.
The packet that gets sent to us in email?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And I did confirm that she had finished up her training and met the requirements for this lead evaluator.
Okay.
Any other questions? All in favor? Thank you. Okay, we have approval of Dr. Neil Howard as lead evaluator of principals effective October 21st, 2020. Whereas the Board of Education has provided evidence that Dr. Neil Howard Jr. has completed training which meets in the Secana Hill Central School District Annual Professional Performance Review Plan for certification as a lead evaluator of principals. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education recommends Dr. Neil Howard Jr. to be certified as lead evaluators of principals. Can I have a motion, please? Ron, second. Terry, any questions? All in favor? Okay, so this last one, this M, goes through this bottom of the page, the next page, and the page after. And the only difference this is, it's an update of a contract with Questar 3. So I'm not reading through all this, but I will give you all time if you want to read through it, if you haven't. And then I'll take a motion, so I'll give you a couple of minutes to read through this.
Is there anything significant different in this contract we should know about?
Can you give us the highlights of what it changed?
The dates are changed.
Just the dates?
Last year.
That's all it is?
And some of the numbers, the schedule.
Dates. Like the sections, you mean? Oh, right, 6th day of November 2019, okay, yeah, I get you. So it's just, it's the same contract, it's just updating the dates. And what about the payments on the Schedule B? The payments are different as well?
I believe they are.
Okay. So it's just an updated contract.
I think your 5 drops off as precipitously.
I believe then the copiers are paid off.
Oh, so last year would be paid off?
They significantly decrease in value over the life of the
Appreciation.
lease. So.
Just wait till, just let me know when you're done reading it. It's the equipment the school's using. It's a contract with Questar.
We get the better prices than we get the,
I see. Okay.
2 goes C plus 8.
Did everybody read through it? All right, can I have a motion? Dave, second. Linda, any questions? All in favor? Okay. Do we have anybody for public forum for the second?
no, we do not.
All right. Oh, no executive session?
Wait a minute, did anybody see the pigs flying?
That is so awesome. All right. Okay, so we have additional items to discuss. So I did add on there, the workshop dates, so we have to plan a few dates here. But let's go do the other 2. So we have 3 board members need signatures to come in on November 9th. They have to come in on that day to sign off on the uncollected taxes. Who wants to come in to do that?
What day of the week is that?
Monday, by the way. What is it?
It's a Monday.
A Monday? I could probably come in.
I can come in.
So Bonnie, Alicia, anybody else?
I can come
Linda, you want, okay. November 9th, okay. And then we have the substitute availability and possible change requirements, and you want to address that, right?
Ronnie? Yes. I just wanted to let you know if anybody can't make it on the 9th, I can.
Oh, okay, all right.
So because of COVID-19, our substitute pool has been depleted significantly. Most of our substitutes in the past have been older individuals. And we have certain requirements for our substitutes. If you're going to substitute for a teacher, we require a 4-year degree. And so...
In any subject or in subject they're covered for? Like in a 4-year English degree you cover for a math?
Yes. So it's just a 4-year degree. It can be in anything to cover for any subject. But if it's a long term, obviously there's rules and regulations that the state has that are focused around certification area and 40 days for an uncertified sub. So what I'd like to do is get the head nod from the board to change this to modify it in such a way, because the law requires that you only need a high school diploma in order to substitute teach in school. So we'd like to back off of the 4 years, possibly to 2 years of experience at a college, either a 2-year degree or completed 2 years at a 4-year college. And we think that will significantly increase our subpool
We're teaching what grades?
We're teaching all the grades.
All the grades.
But we would not, operationally, we obviously don't want a 20-year-old teaching high school seniors as a substitute. So we would manipulate or steer those folks to probably the elementary or the lower intermediate school to avoid any kind of, potential problem, let's say.
Fly through the station.
So,
Well, how close are you to the point where you don't have a substitute?
how close are we?
Yeah.
So that's a very difficult question, but I will say that the potential of individuals to quarantine, it doesn't take much to force us to go to an all remote. So we get teachers covering for other teachers, we manipulate people's schedules around to cover classes, but a couple times this month we have teetered on having about 13 individuals or 13 classes not covered. So we have to figure something out because I don't see the situation of substitute availability getting any better. So that's kind of where we are. I'm not sure that answers your question, but we want to be prepared in case. So by backing down to 2 years of college experience and with the potential for some kids coming back very soon for Thanksgiving, most of the colleges are doing their finals online, and so that may offer us some alternatives, at least in the younger grades, and then those substitutes that happen in the younger grades, we could put in the upper grades.
Have you approached retired teachers?
Yes.
Yeah. And the pool's empty? Really?
At this time, some of them have, well, there's many different reasons why
The
they
health
would.
concerns, I'm sure. Do you have access to the rapid COVID tests now?
No.
They're supposed to be, each county is supposed to have access to them.
I can talk a little bit about that. Wednesday, we had our meeting with today. Today at noon, we had a meeting with Columbia County Department of Health, and at 1 o'clock, we had the Columbia County nurses Zooming with us and the Department of Health. So last week, Jack Mapp, the director, did put in for 12,000 tests, but we figure we're not a high enough priority and we'll not get them. So
These
they're
are
going downstairs.
rapid, like instant tests, is that
It's about 15 minutes the way I understand it, but you need a laboratory to be a participant in this. So the Columbia County Department of Health has applied for a waiver for the laboratory. So some places have it already around the state, but Columbia County does not.
I'm assuming if we gave you the head nod, that you would prioritize the 4-year degree people first and fill in with the lesser experienced people as needed. Is that the plan?
I'm not I would have to look at the software that we use to make sure that that's a possibility. It can go in order, so I'm pretty confident we can prioritize those people. But I would also, there are some retired teaching assistants who I feel very comfortable filling in for teachers in the classroom. We have a certified rate and we have an uncertified rate of pay. They would receive the certified rate, but the TAs that I'm thinking of currently that are retired have 2-year degrees. So I would like to be able to use them.
Are there any course requirements or just 2 years of a 2-year degree for
Well,
the
there's
substitute?
it was an operational decision Taconic Hills made to use a higher, a more, I guess, older person with more
for short-term subs, like daily absences, not for filling in for someone who is going to be out for an extended period of time.
That is correct. The state requires that if someone's out for an extended period of time, that we need to make a very strong effort to get a certified person in and a certified person in that field.
What's considered short-term?
That's a good question.
That's number 3 for me tonight, Is it just days or is it?
I'm going to say
weeks?
less than 40 days. There's
Oh.
a maximum of 40 days an uncertified
That's a
teacher
lot.
can be in a classroom.
That's a lot, more than I thought.
I know the pay has a lot to do with it too, and I know our district is higher than most. But I do know, as being a substitute in the past, I subbed for a teacher and I have a 4-year degree, so it was the $85 a day or whatever. But if I subbed for an aide or a teacher's assistant, it was $11 and change an hour.
Yes.
So in my opinion, why am I gonna come risk coming in for $11 an hour? You know, I think, and I know it's not in our budget at all, but.
Well,
Such
maybe
a
we
low
can take a
pay.
look at that in the budgeting process. Those are pretty much standard going rate stuff.
No, I know, but it's kind of like
$12 an hour.
kick in the butt.
7 hours, 7
I don't think you do it for the money.
No, I know, yeah, but in these times for that amount of money.
Okay, so what do you need from us, Neil?
Just, is there anybody that really
Just to get us
objects
back on
us?
board here.
Yeah, is there anybody that really objects to us or feels strongly that we should still keep it at the 4-year requirement for substitute for teacher positions?
No, I think anything needs to go. No, to keep them going, on remote, absolutely.
Well, she was talking about
Oh,
And this is specifically for teachers.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that we can do something for aides and teaching assistants as well. So, but right now, I guess, if we're going to do it for teachers, I would like to do it for aides and teaching assistants as well. So a high school diploma instead of 2-year, which I don't think, Sybil, was that our operating procedure?
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
The operating procedure, what did we list for qualifications for TAs?
For TAs.
For substitutes?
Substitutes, certification or some college.
Right. So I guess I would like to waive that as well. We got some high school graduates that would like to come in and substitute for a teaching assistant or an aide. I think I would like to do that as well.
I'm okay with that.
You do? It would seem to me if we're doing this with an understanding it's to meet this immediate need for the situation we find ourselves in, I would certainly like to reevaluate it at the end of the year. Because I clearly, I understand what the criteria is. I'm appreciative that we've had a higher standard than legally required, but that also creates a higher caliber of applicants.
Where, applying to wash dishes, so I think if you let people know that substitute teachers without a teaching certificate, at least temporarily, we have lots of people at your door. There's a lot of
That's not.
English literature.
Some people seem to forget where we actually are. We don't have a lot of people knocking on our door.
Right.
We don't. It's just the truth.
So we're on OLAS, which is the educational website for the state.
No,
So
I'm thinking of something more like
The Columbia paper.
the Hillsdale and whatever the towns are. Local labor boards where people are claiming they can't get jobs. They work as house cleaners. I'm serious.
I can put it on Facebook again.
let me just mention it to people, that if they have a four-year college degree, they might check out the local schools who are hurting for substitute teachers and are considering
It's
people
not,
without teaching degrees.
this is not the Connetta's problem, by the way.
I'm sorry?
This is a county problem right now.
Yeah.
So we talk, and I will be talking to the superintendents tomorrow, but most of the other school districts in the county only require a high school education.
Yeah, but I think Linda's saying that even though you're advertising in all the usual places, some of the applicants may not be looking, potential applicants may not be looking at usual places.
When I was
They just
working
have
at
to
Albany,
get involved.
They don't know enough,
$15 an
right?
hour, I was working with Harvard PhDs who couldn't get jobs.
I mean, why not put an
They were
ad
not
in
coming
the
just
Columbia?
to Albany, we were coming from all over every area
See
you
what
can
happens.
imagine, so I know there are people with
Is that
lots of
not in the
degrees
realm
of
of
all
possibilities?
ages who couldn't get jobs. So,
I could put something in the local periodical.
yeah, people just need to know about it. They don't necessarily need education publications because they're not even thinking about teaching because they don't have pedagogical degrees. They have straight four-year degrees in something like electrical engineering.
Okay, so.
I've got a phone number of someone who has a master's degree in engineering who literally can't get a job.
Okay, so what we would ask them to do is to fill out an application and to get fingerprinted.
Okay,
Those
I'll
are the
do
requirements.
that tomorrow.
Right.
I'm trying
They're
to
interviewed,
sofa up the stairs.
they're interviewed, by individuals here and in departments and principals, and sometimes
Just
myself.
what does it pay to a sub?
Is it $8 a day or something?
85 currently.
85 or what?
A day.
A day.
A day.
It's per year. Yeah.
Neil,
Yes.
as an outgrowth of the workshop that we had last week, maybe this is something that could be an announcement on the website and that explains to people the way to apply. Here's the requirements. What we're looking for with the way to apply is through this OLUS. People who aren't actively looking for school jobs are not familiar with that.
Okay. Okay. So we can post things internally, we can post them on Facebook. And I can see what the prices are for advertisements. You register starting.
I don't think it's much to advertise.
Register, probably doing it. I'm kidding. All right, let's move on to workshop dates, okay.
So we decided that we would go for the 2 years? Is that what we're?
I'm good with it. You good with it?
Vote on that, or?
No,
No, he
it's
just wants
an
how
operating
everybody's-
procedure. I'm telling you that we have a problem, we'd like to decrease these requirements. The board was in on some of that discussion when we decided to do the 4 years. So that's all it is, it's just a head nod. I think I got that.
Yep.
Okay.
So we're gonna move forward.
Okay.
All right. So 3 workshops that we have, that right now that we have to do. We have we have to have another one about voting, because we may need to change some things of what we did last year, because there were some things that happened, and we may need to change some of that. And we'll invite Melissa here to tell us, and she can answer your question that you had, Dave. So we need a workshop for that, and that probably should be our first one, because then we can get the information out to the public on what we decide at that workshop, or what we decided at a board meeting, but what will come out of that workshop. The next one is the ELA teachers, to do that presentation.
Well, I don't think we want ELA, I think we want the English language.
Okay, I'm sorry, yeah.
ELLs.
Yeah, ELL, sorry.
I think it's more than a presentation I'm asking for. It's really a discussion around how we can raise think we have a cohort that's not doing as well as others.
I know you weren't at the last workshop, and what happened was that was explained a little bit, and you weren't there to hear that explanation. As to, I mean, when you look at data, data is only as good as it is. But there's always extenuating circumstances that go along with data, and you didn't hear that at the last workshop because you weren't here. So
Well,
we need to do that again.
I did ask Neil, and he went and got me the presentation. I actually went to the presenter directly, which was appropriate. I realized that.
Right. So at least
So-
you'll be able to have that discussion, and you can bring whatever you want to bring to these people that will be
Well, I
making
don't
the
think
presentation.
I don't think it's specifically to those people. They're part of it. They're part of it. But I
Correct.
think it's really
They're the people we hired to do the job.
also, I think, at a higher level than that. And I'm going to suggest things that perhaps, Neil and as a school, that we may take some. There's things that have been done in other school systems that have solved many of these issues that we may not be doing, and I think we should discuss all of that. So
I'm not disagreeing. What I'm saying to you is at the last workshop, it was explained why things are the way that they are, and I don't think you got that because you weren't there. You weren't there to interact with that presentation. Yes, you saw it on video and you talked to Neil, but again, data is only as good as it is. It doesn't always tell the whole picture, and especially here in this school district. So, I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. You can bring what you want to it.
Let me just say one thing
Yes.
about this point. And look, I know that many of the board members here at times have viewed me as contentious or inappropriate at times, or whatever the right adjectives are. So I recognize that. What I am asking for in this particular area is that please come to the workshop with an open mind with some of the points that I would like to make, because one of the things that you personally have made clear, Bonnie, is that, and it's in our goals here, kids first, and this is where I'm coming from. It's not about voting, not about whatever. This is truly just about the kids. So I'm asking to please my fellow board members to come to this meeting and the discussion that I'd like to bring forward with an open mind. That's all I'm asking for.
Okay.
Thank you.
As long as you bring that same open mind as well.
Absolutely.
I need your guarantee that you'll bring your open mind as well.
That's what it's all about.
There you go. We're in agreement. So we need some dates for these, and then we need a date for the financial workshop that Sybil wants us to do.
I would ask if we could just come up with a formula, like the second Tuesday of the month, or...
Yeah, you're right, Dave. That's a good point.
So that we can just schedule them. Typically, workshops for whatever organizations, the dates are picked regardless of the topic. And then as the dates come closer, the topics are decided.
We want to have a regularly scheduled workshop.
We should have a workshop every month, and we should have a meeting every month. We really should be doing that. That's right.
Let's be consistent, make it Wednesdays. It's hard.
Wednesdays? All right. I'm good with that.
So the second Wednesday, the week before the regular board meeting?
Second Wednesday? Sure.
Is that what you're suggesting, Ron?
I just think it should, I didn't want to do Wednesdays. I'm tired of having meetings on different days.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So then we would be looking at November 11th, I think?
And we probably should do the voting one first, I'm thinking, right? We have to make sure Melissa can make it.
And, I guess I would also recommend that we have
Chris,
an attorney here.
correct. Yes, we'll need her here as well.
And then the second one would be December 9th?
Okay, that one I might not make, because you all know I work for UPS, but that's all right, because I've seen this presentation before. I will try to make it, but no guarantees. I'll be going to work when you guys are done.
And what is the time frame?
Typically, let's see if they had 5:30.
5:30 they start, okay.
5:30.
Yep, workshops are at 5:30, typically retreats are at 5 o'clock, board meetings at 6:30.
And Sybil, is January too late to do that financial one with you?
No, I think that'll be okay.
That'll be okay? All right, so then let's do
The
January.
only problem with that, with the second Wednesday in January, I have a board meeting unless my calendar is.
So,
So November 11th is Veterans Day.
Oh,
Right.
so can we do either Tuesday or Thursday?
Oh.
What do you want to do?
Just for the next week?
Because the next week, well, that's the board meeting. I'm sorry, Ron. Do we make Tuesday or Thursday of that week?
Yeah.
Which one? The 10th or the 12th? Which one, guys?
I can't do the 12th.
10th? Huh?
I can't do the 12th.
So let's do the 10th, November 10th. Okay? Then we got December 9th.
So the 10th is at 5:30.
Yep, so it's the 9th. And January, you said, Dave, is what?
well, Wednesday, the December 9th at 5:30.
But
And
January
then January, the second Wednesday, I have, I think,
is our board meeting?
unless, that's what I have down, but it may not be correct. I may
All right, so why don't we tentatively put it for the second Wednesday, if that's, we can always, I mean, that's a long ways off, we can always change that, right?
does anybody have a calendar?
I don't even have a 21 calendar.
Is it a board meeting, actually?
But I have tweets down that I have pieces.
If that's the case, then I would just say make it
The following one?
the following, the 20th.
Okay.
December,
January. All right.
Oh,
The 20th is the board meeting.
So I, well, I
Okay,
must
so
have been
then, so January
anticipating-
13th then.
I must have been anticipating we were having a meeting on the 13th.
All right, so January 13th, we'll do the financial. So let's start with those three, get that rolling. All right, anything else, anybody wanna,
January 13th.
anybody got anything else? Can I have a motion to adjourn? I can look at Linda. Second, Heidi. All in favor? What? You want it to end? Dave? Okay. Thanks. Thank you for everyone.